Ahoy Pokemon fans, Raid Pirate here, and thank you for coming to my very first anipoke video. The release date of this video, May 3rd, is an intentional release date as it is the anniversary to the black and white episode Evolution by Fire, or at least its original Japanese release date. This episode features the character that is the subject of this video, Shamus. If you already knew me, you'd know he's my favorite of the infinite number of one-shot characters in the Pokemon anime, so I felt like, why not make a video about him? In this video, I'll be going over who he is, why I like him, if I was the director of the Pokemon anime, how would I have written him differently, as well as the black and white series a little differently. And lastly, where do I see him going in the future? Let's begin. So who is Shamus? First, a recap for those unfamiliar with the black and white anime, or have forgotten, Shamus was the original trainer to Ash's Pignite, abandoning it as a Tepig after it lost a battle against a Deerling, before being taken in by Ash at the Accumula Town Battle Club. Shamus wouldn't appear physically until the Evolution by Fire episode, 73 episodes later, at the Astilbe Battle Club, where Ash would challenge him to a double battle where Tepig would evolve into Pignite and give Ash the win. Now, one of the first takeaways you might notice is that this has been done before in Damien and Paul, since they also are original trainers to Ash's Fire-type starters. However, despite similar plot points, I feel personally they are all different characters if you look at them closely. I mean, of course there isn't going to be just one jerk in the world who abandons Pokemon. I'm actually pretty surprised there's a lack of them, but moving on. In this episode, Shamus showed he was cruel, heartless, and ruthless in battle. So now you might be asking yourself, if Shamus is such a jerk, why do I like him? What I loved about Shamus' character was how unapologetically wicked he was. Like when Iris and Ash confront him in the eating area and demand he apologize, he just smirks at them and throws Tepig right back into Ash's arms. He just felt like a fresh of breath air because often when another type of jerk kid character came along, they'd be shown to just be misunderstood and they'd become Ash's friend within 20 minutes, but refreshingly not Shamus. He's just the right level of haughty that you want to see get beat, but you're just enjoying him too. I do like we do expand upon him a bit more than Damien, for example. We know Shamus wants to raise a team of strong fire types, and I think that's an interesting goal. Also, one other thing I like about his character is he nicknames his team the Fire Warriors, like they're some kind of professional sports team. I don't know why, I'm just so amused by it. Like, it's kind of dorky, but an amusing, it's something a kid would kind of do sort of way. I'm sorry, I just can't hate him even with the whole Tepig thing after something like that. Also, the fact he plays along with Silent's courtroom scene. Shamus obviously has a fun side. One more thing I would like to add that I like about Shamus was showing off some fire combo moves in his double battle. The combo between Flare Blitz and Fire Spin was a spectacular combo. It's a good thing Snivy got Tepig out of the way. What if Shamus was a recurring character instead of a one-shot? What if I was in control of the series? How would I have placed him into the series more? Well, that's what I'm going to get into here. But before I do, please keep in mind that this is completely fanon, and you don't have to agree with it, but please respect it. Before I get into the actual series itself, I hope you don't mind a few background things first. Now this would probably have to be its own video in the future, but the cast of Black and White in my revision would be much bigger than it is in canon. Don't worry though, as no characters would be removed, but instead either added or expanded on like Shamus. So getting into a few headcanons, first thing is, I headcanon that Shamus is from the cold city of Icera City, since he wears a long jacket seemingly wherever he goes. Despite most characters being comfortable with more light clothing, this suggests to me that he comes from a colder climate. Also, since the show gave him a heat moor, which can be found in Twist Mountain, just outside of Icera City, it perhaps suggests that he lives closer to that area, rather than closer to Pansear on this other side of the region. I also think because of how the way he treated his original Tepig, he probably wasn't raised well, not being taught empathy by his parents, sadly, and probably was neglected too, and we see how a vicious cycle of abuse can be. Lastly, on a more lighthearted note, I had a number of friends play around where a number of characters, including Shamus, attended a trainer's school taught by Professor Juniper before the series. I thought I would say this now because it will be brought up again later. Now, with that said, let me get into how I'd see Shamus in this new view of the series. Okay, one thing I think the anime should have done was introduce his character sooner. By the time we finally resolved this plot with Tepig, it had mostly already been forgotten about, and didn't return until Ash was very close to his 7th badge. So, I would have introduced Shamus before Ash even met Tepig. Let me explain. On their way to Accumula Town, Ash and Iris bump past with Shamus, who, unknown to them, had already abandoned the Tepig, as he is making his way back to Professor Juniper's lab to get a new Tepigid Nuvema. I assume Shamus would be a new trainer because if his goal is to raise a strong fire type, I would think if he already had one, he wouldn't be bothering with a new Tepig. This meeting will be rather innocuous though, and will be more of an early bird cameo, but they'll meet again later. Their next meeting will be long before Icera City. In their next meeting, Shamus will reunite with Tepig, and show his cruelty and reveal that it was his Tepig. Ash will challenge him to a battle where Shamus will battle him with his new Tepig, by this time already a Pig Knight. In this battle, Shamus' Pig Knight will evolve into the Emboar we all know, and knock out Tepig easily. Shamus will use this as proof that he made the right choice. Ash promises Tepig that they'll get back at him. I also give Shamus some additional appearances, but to not drag out in the video too long, I'll just give a few major ones. One being the Junior Cup where really, he will just replace that Manning character who had the Heatmore because seriously, Shamus already has one as a much better character. So, Shamus would instead lose to Trip in the second round against Trip's Superior. Speaking of Trip, I like to headcanon that the two would be friends, but not close enough where they would travel together obviously, but the two of them would have been in that trainer school I mentioned earlier, and they would get along with each other the best. Moving on, another thing I do for him is make up a new tournament where participants can only use one type of Pokemon. Shamus would obviously use Fire, and for his big moment, he would win in this Battle Club tournament and qualify the Virtuous Conference. Also, this would also be the Battle Club tournament, where Ash's Tepig would evolve into Pig Knight. However, because he just evolved, he would still lose. So Shamus would get the win here. In the Virtuous Conference, we're going to move things around a bit. Trip will be moved to a later round, and Shamus will be in the first round. Now, I never really liked how the first round of this tournament is a 1 versus 1, so we're going to change the rules here, which is okay because this is a fanon anyway. Instead of a 1 versus 1, it will be a 3 versus 3. Shamus will use a Darmanitan, his Heatmore, and finally, his Emboar. Meanwhile, Ash will use Superior, who would have evolved from Snivy, he'll use Duat, evolved from Oshawott, and finally Pig Knight. Superior will defeat Darmanitan before being defeated by Heatmore. Duat will come out and defeat Heatmore, but then defeated by Emboar. And finally, Pig Knight will defeat Emboar, giving Ash the win. Before I move on, I just want to say I have toyed with the idea of Shamus being the one to beat Ash in the league. I mean, sometimes the bad guy wins in the end, right? But yeah, I can imagine the outrage. Probably enough to rival the actual Kalos League outrage. But this was just a thought I wanted to share. Let me know if you would have liked this to happen. Now, from here we get the familiar. Shamus will try to take Pig Knight back for himself, and Presti beat his Emboar as still a Pig Knight, only for Pig Knight to respond by hitting him in the face with a flamethrower. This time though, Shamus will not be able to run away far, as Professor Juniper will come in and say that she will be taking custody of his Pokemon and stripping him of his Pokemon training license. We won't see him again until after the league, and when Ash and the others return to Nuvema Town, before their Decalar Islands adventure, do we see that he will be given a second chance after a year-long suspension. In the meantime, he will be doing community service and taking therapy. I know some people would probably think that he should probably just have his trainer's license permanently taken away, but he is a kid. So I feel Professor Juniper would believe that if she can give him something to work towards, being a better person and trainer, then he can work towards it while also realizing that blacklisting him would likely cause him to be an even worse criminal. So I think this is a justifying and satisfying path. We all love a happy ending, right? Anyway, this meeting between Ash and Shamus will be a lot less hostile. Shamus will also give a genuine apology to Pig Knight in hopes that he never makes the mistake of giving up on a Pokemon again. Ash departs him with encouraging words that he hopes he can become a better person and wishes him luck on his dream of becoming one of the best fire-type trainers in the future. While on the probation period, Shamus is going to need support. He gets most of his encouragement from Bianca, who is aspiring to be Professor Juniper's assistant. Bianca, being one of Shamus' classmates from the before-mentioned trainer school, was seen as someone who always saw the good in people. Another person who gives him encouragement is his friend Trip. Trip wouldn't be happy about hearing Shamus is abandoning the Tepig, but he knows that if Bianca is rooting for him and gives him another chance, then he is willing to as well. So, he's got his friends supporting him, which is good, but actions speak louder, right? So how does he show his change before he can get his license back? Well, one day he happens to stumble upon a nest of 6 Pokemon eggs. The eggs hatch, revealing Ducklet, who imprint on the fire trainer. First, I want to thank a friend of mine for drawing me this awesome, amusing picture. Back to the story, he's annoyed at first that he's looking after 6 ducklet, but after trying to pass them off to the professor, she instead decides that he should be the one to take care of them, and prove that he is changing. Initially rejecting the idea, pointing out he's a fire trainer, he changes his mind after others point out how much the baby ducks look up to him, and if he could take care of them, it'll prove that he can be trusted with his Pokemon again quicker. And yes, I did steal this from regular show. I thought it would be funny. So he does look after the ducklet, and about a year after the events of the black and white anime does Shamus get his trainer privileges back, as well as his fire warriors, and he sets off on a new beginning. So now let's fast forward into the distant future. Where does Shamus end up? Well, since he has the ambitions and because he specializes in one type, I would like to see Shamus one day become one of Unova's Elite Four members. The other 3 are Iris, who specializes in dragon types. Yes, I'm sorry, this means Iris does get dethroned in this timeline. Please forgive me, Champion Iris, and please forgive me, Iris fans. I just really love this group of 4 I came up with, and to hopefully make up for this change in rank, Iris still was a champion, and now is undisputedly the strongest of this Elite Four team, and recognized with the title of Head of the Elite Four. And also, again, just reminder, this is all fanon, so you don't have to agree, just respect it. Next is Sharon, who specializes in normal types. And lastly is Georgia, specializing in ice types. So, the future of the Elite Four, in order of power ranking basically, is Iris, Sharon, Georgia, and Shamus. I want to say I wanted this group of 4 because I had the amusing thought that the 4 of them would all get on each other's nerves, since we all know how Georgia and Iris argue all the time. I would have Shamus and Sharon have a bit of their own rivalry, since their personalities would likewise clash, with Sharon being more mellow and level-headed, compared to Shamus' boastful and hot-headed nature. It would set up something amusing clashes, I would think. This sometimes would lead to a double battle, where Iris and Sharon would team up against a team of Shamus and Georgia. But because ice and fire don't mix too well, Shamus and Georgia often would get in each other's way. I think this Elite Four would be amusing to watch. So yeah, Shamus' future, he'll be a respected Elite Four member in the Unova League. So that's my Shamus video for Shamus Appreciation Day. Thank you so much to whoever sat through the whole thing. One last thing before I sign off is I want to give a few shoutouts. One, to all my friends who have made it a lot of fun for me to enjoy this character, be it through sharing headcanons, role-playing, commissioning artists for fan art, or making fan art for me. I want to say I felt very appreciated. I would also like to give a shout out to Poke4Lax, who has been using Shamus in his summer camp series. I highly recommend you check out his channel. He makes great texting stories that feel like they came right out of the show. We've been friends since the start of his summer camp series of his, and he's used his character very well, and I can't wait to see where he takes Shamus next. I can also tell he's grown to appreciate the character more as time has gone on, and he's even got a number of his fans in his Discord server to jump on the Shamus bandwagon as well. It's such a great thing to see his character grow some small popularity. So once again, thanks to you all for watching this video. If you have any questions, comments, critiques, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Also, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell for my next video, and feel free to leave a like. I also have a gaming channel you can check out as well if you're into the Nintendo gameplay. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, bye.